As the January window approaches, we have a ton of transfer target news to discuss, including updates around existing stories as well too. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys had a great festive time, Christmas holidays. Hopefully you ate good, you drank good, and you got the gifts you wanted. So I'm glad that you guys are back here to watch more videos from me. Hit that like button if you guys had a great Christmas. And without wasting any more time, let's kick things off by discussing the latest update news involving Estevao Willian. Now, as we know, Goal.com Brazil were the first publication to break the story that we were opening talks to sign Estevao Willian. So what are the latest updates today? Well, it seems like we are still exerting pressure on Palmeiras to sign Willian. We are communicating the fact that we have the resources to meet the release clause. We want the player, even though ideally Willian would prefer to go to Barcelona. However, fortunately for us, Barca don't have the financial conditions to make any type of deal happen. As we know, there is a 60 million release clause on Estevao Willian, and the pressure we're exerting and our willingness to, reach this clause as well too, means that currently Palmeiras are exerting pressure on the player to hurry up with this decision making. They want to cash in, they want to make some money. It's up to Willian now whether he decides to sign for us or not. Now, as we know, if we get this deal done, we won't see him for another 2 years. Currently, there is this feeling at Palmeiras that they have unearthed their new 1 billion generation. Now, when you convert 1 billion Brazilian dollars to pounds, that's around 160 million pounds. And Palmeiras hope to earn that amount of money from selling their 5 top targets from their academy, with Willian being one of those players. Now, to continue on with the report, we've learned that Willian's dad was recently doing a tour in Europe, holding discussions, learning firsthand about the sporting projects from all interested parties after his son. Obviously, he has visited Cobham. He has held personal talks, but at the same time, he has visited Man City and Paris Saint-Germain as well too. But I guess the good news is from this report that Barca are out of the race. I think Willian looks like a very exciting talent. I'm sorry, at 16 years old, you guys have seen what he's been doing on screen over the past few minutes as I've been talking. And listen, his skill, the balance, how he can get past multiple players at once. I like seeing these separation details, What do they do that's special compared to their contemporaries? And I think these little facets in their game make these guys more exciting talents that you back your money around. But at the same time, as I've been saying for a while, and I might be sounding a bit cynical, but I have these fears that are we necessarily the best club when it comes to nurturing talents 18 plus? Listen, talents under 18, we have one of the best academies in the world. And my opinion is based on results. Over the past 10 years, even 15 years if you want to go there, how many players from 18 have really fulfilled their potential and talent? And why is it that we really struggle at nurturing this type of talent, even though over the past 10 years, we've invested so much money into guys under 23 years old? I think for me, this really just hit home when we did incredible things to sign Kai Havertz, and look at the player Kai actually became. I'm sorry. I think we take some responsibility for that because we never really had a proper system or use for the player, and it's no surprise that he didn't really push on and reach new heights. And I have this fear that if we're looking to hedge our bets on all these 18-year-old talents, first of all, what is the plan to get these guys playing first team? Is this not an unfair amount of pressure to apply to guys who will be new to the country during that time? And let's keep things real. We'll have targets we have to meet during the season, which means that we'll probably end up buying more experienced guys. So how do we balance young talents like Kendry, potentially Estevao Willian, alongside Aaron Kunkus and others that we could buy in the market? They're the questions I need answers to. At the same time, who knows? It could take us a long time before we get Champions League football, and maybe on a different type of tangent. These moves to sign your Willians and Paez's could be what really helps us in the future if things have got turned sour. But let's hope we aren't going there, my friends. So that is the latest news surrounding Estevao Willian. Now let's discuss an interesting report that came from Sport in Spain. And they mentioned that currently 3 Premier League clubs are paying great attention towards Alejandro Balde of Barcelona, with us looking to show the most interest at this point in time. Now, currently Man City are another club, and obviously because Cancelo is on loan at Barcelona, the report mentions the fact that there's a possibility that City would entertain doing a player swap plus money type of deal to try and find some wiggle room to sign Balde. Interesting news being that Jorge Mendes is Balde's agent. Mendes has worked so much with Bale and the directors at this football club, and Mendes has conveyed the possibility of a large sale for his player in the summer. As we know, due to Barcelona's current financial situation, they still have to sell players if they hope to buy players. And obviously with Mendes mentioning the possibility of selling Balde in the summer, it really depends on Barcelona. But, you know, this is where we have to keep things very real. Barca have given him a contract extension which ends in 2028, and he has a 1 billion release clause. This communicates the fact that they are hedging their bets. They value Balde and they see him here in their long-term future. We know that Barca need to have exceptional fullbacks. I think Balde is the regen of Alba, and listen, I'm not expecting us to get any type of deal done. If anything, this story confirms two things. Number one, we are looking at signing a left back, obviously with Ben being out for so long, and our openness to sell Cucurella and Matson, depending on the money we receive. I think in the next maybe 2-3 windows, we will sign another left back. Who knows who that left back may be, but we need to sign the left back, and ideally Balde would be high up on that list. Listen, I like to think that if we're going to go for an attacking fullback like that, we're going to play football the right way that actually uses him. I'd imagine with a club like us, we'd sign a Balde and then play this guy left wing, and just, you know, absolute nonsense that we always tend to do when we sign like exciting names and players. But I think realistically, I'm not expecting much from the story whatsoever. And as I said, all I learned from this is that we are looking at signing a left back. So let's pay attention to more reports around left backs over the next few windows. Now, let's tackle one of the big stories of today, and it involves young Argentinian sensation Claudio Echeverri. Now, I'll discuss them in a separate video, but we have even more news to break down, as currently we are in a transfer battle directly with Man City. News has emerged that currently Man City are the favourites to sign him. Pep sees him as the best young player in the world right now. He wants him at Man City. And we're learning all these reports from Sky Germany. They were the first ones to break the news that we were looking at Echeverri. And currently, it really depends on where the player wants to go right now. Now, his release clause is set at 25 million euros. However, in the next 10 days, it will climb up to 30 million euros. Now, in terms of the plan that us and Man City are offering the player, City are offering to allow Echeverri to remain at River Plate until the end of the season before bringing him for next season. Whereas us, on the other hand, plan to loan him to Strasbourg so we can acclimatise to life in Europe before, I guess, joining up with the squad for next season. Now, Man City's plan is essentially identical to what they did when they first signed Julian Alvarez, so I think it's kind of interesting. But if I'm being brutally honest, if I'm keeping things absolutely real, if I'm Echeverri and I have two offers from either club, I'm breaking it down like this. I'm 17 and Chelsea are offering to loan me out to France, where it's like, listen, I can't even speak English. Now at 17 years old, a teenager, I now have to go to France, a completely different culture and environment at such a young age. Am I going to get that same level of support? I don't know. And I mention this point because I have read a few stories over the past few months that, you know, Angelo Gabriel, he's having a fine season with Strasbourg, but he is having those personal difficulties when it comes to like settling in the country, not really speaking the language, all those growing pains that come from being a young kid in a foreign country without your usual network of support. So on our side, we only care about expanding and building this multi-club network model. That is something we want to achieve, and to make that really happen, to get clubs to fall under our ownership, it means that we have to give them access to top quality young players. That is the reality. But I just think when I compare what we're offering at Echeverri to Man City, where it's like, listen, you know, you just remain at River Plate. River Plate are second in the league. You know, you could leave River Plate at the end of the season as potential league champions, and you're following in the footsteps of Alvarez and many other players in a, you know, a tried and tested, safe path to playing in Man City's first team. And on top of that too, you might be training under one of the greatest managers ever in football history, that literally produced the greatest player in football history, Lionel Messi, who is your sporting idol. I just don't see how we can compare to Man City's offer, if I'm being absolutely real with you. And on the other hand, I don't see what we can offer him football-wise. Like, are we going to become a 4-2-3-1 team where Echeverri is going to be like our star attacking mid? But I thought we had that in Kendrick Paez, and then what about guys like Chukwuemeka, and what about the midfield, an expensive midfielder, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez? You see what I mean? It's not making too much sense. I just think that, can we give this guy specialized focus to be the premium elite talent that he definitely has the potential to be? I really don't know. So to be honest with you, I'd imagine, listen, we're going to do what we can to try and sign him. I don't think we'll win this. If I was him, I'm going to Man City right now. I don't care about the league form. I'm talking about the important things, actual development. And I'm sorry, I have not seen us properly do this at this football club ever, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that, but I feel like we are fighting a losing battle right now. So my friends, that's the Echeverri reports out of the way. Let's now end things with another interesting story. When I do reports, I like to discuss interesting reports and stories. It doesn't always have to mean that, you know, this is a signing for January or for the summer or for right now, but sometimes it's about just learning about the players we're scouting, who we're looking at. I've done that many a time with guys like Haaland back in the day when he was still playing for Salzburg, and many other players over the years. Caicedo when he was still back in Ecuador. And fast forward like 4 years later, he's playing for us right now. So another interesting report today came from a little small article from the Telegraph. And they mentioned in their top 10 January transfer targets to watch out for that we've been following and scouting FC Metz sensation and Senegalese international with 19-year-old Lamina Kamara. Now us and Brighton are watching the player. The article mentioned the fact that, you know, he's an 8, which he is, but he has been likened to Cruz and De Bruyne. Now, again, I like to do my research on these stories, and from reading those claims, I actually found out when I actually read Ligue 1's personal interview with the player himself said that he really likes him as players. However, he kind of models his game on Idrissa Gueye. So it had nothing to do with him being the new De Bruyne or Cruz. You know, a lot of times on the internet when I'm covering these stories, you know that a lot of these stories come from journalists or writers taking extracts from other journalists and writers. So it's a bit of a madness to be fair with you, but regardless though, he's getting some big comparisons, and one thing that is honest and truthful is the fact that he is seen as one of Senegal's best ever talents, which is pretty sensational. Right now Senegal are producing a bit of a golden generation. At the moment, you guys might know this already, but when Kendrick Paez was in attendance for that Newcastle win, alongside him was 17-year-old Senegalese DM Mbappe Douda Diong. He had a great under-17 World Cup, under-20 World Cup. I'm not remembering things on the top of my head right now. You know, the plan is to sign him, loan him out to Strasbourg. I think they're the type of players I thought we'd be signing to fill this model, to be fair with you. And obviously he had a great tournament, and I'm more than happy with spending little money on unknown talents that could come big in the future or you can make money from. And I think these types of moves help players like him in particular, where he'll sign for us and instantly him and his family are now goods. So I'm fine with that. But regardless, don't expect us to be making any moves to sign him. It's about scouting, and a lot of times clubs scout players over multiple years, and you maintain your scouting interest. That's one of the parts of how this game works. I think the guy looks very well rounded, and I think his rise in the game has been so fast, it's been so quick. I mean, from being in Senegal's top youth academy to be one of the top players in the Senegalese league, to then quickly going to Metz. He's there in League 2, and in the space of no time he's already a first team player, and now he's playing week in week out for Metz in Ligue 1 right now. And you might know him, if you guys, you know, follow the right accounts, from his sensational halfway line goal against Monaco back in October. And from doing research, what I really liked about the goal he scored was the player himself stated, listen, I was doing my research following opposition analysis, and I realized that Monaco's goalkeeper likes to come off his line. So for me, the fact that he has the mental awareness to understand how to target opposition's weaknesses, but then to have the technical capacities to pull something as audacious as that off, you know, I think when I mentioned the point about separation, I think for top clubs like us, you always sign the players that have separation from the rest of the pack, right? And it's these little types of details. I think he's doing big things right now. Can he follow in the footsteps of Mane and your Pape Matar and your Habib Diallos and many of these guys? Where, you know, Metz are known for bringing in the next great talents of Senegal, but he's doing the right things right now. So all I'm saying with this report is keep your eyes out for the future. Maybe we might hear about his name in 1 or 2 years' time. time will tell, yeah. But anyway, that's today's news video. Share your thoughts and opinions. I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. On a real quick one, there is going to be a preview out later today, so stay tuned for that. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the match against Crystal Palace. Cool.